Imagine a sound so rich, so soulful, that it traveled from the villages of eastern Nigeria and conquered stages across the world. A sound born from tradition, shaped by colonial encounter, and carried forward by some of the greatest musicians Africa has ever produced. That sound is Igbo Highlife music, and today we're going all the way back to where it began. Highlife is a genre of music that originated in West Africa, primarily in Ghana and Nigeria in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The name Highlife came from the lifestyle it was associated with. Early on, this music was played at elite social gatherings, hotels, ballrooms, and clubs frequented by the upper class and colonial officials. Ordinary people who couldn't afford to attend these events would peer through the windows and say those people are living the high life. But here's what makes Highlife special: it wasn't born from the elite, it was born from the people. From African musicians who took Western instruments like the guitar, the trumpet, and the saxophone and fused them with traditional African rhythms, melodies, and storytelling. The result was something entirely new, something that was African at its soul but universal in its sound. The Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria had a deeply musical culture long before any Western influence arrived. Traditional Igbo music featured instruments like the Edua clay pot drum, the Ogene metal bell, the Oyo wooden flute, and the Ikoro, a giant slit drum used for community announcements and ceremonies. Music in Igbo culture was never just entertainment, it was communication. It was used to celebrate harvests, honor ancestors, mark rites of passage, and even settle disputes. When European missionaries and colonial administrators arrived in the late 1800s, they brought with them brass band instruments. Nigerian musicians, particularly in port cities like Calabar and later in Onitsha and Enugu, began experimenting with these foreign instruments. Instead of abandoning their traditional sounds, Igbo musicians absorbed these new instruments and wrapped them around their existing rhythms. This fusion traditional Igbo rhythms meeting Western instruments became the foundation of Igbo Highlife. The 1950s and 1960s are widely considered the golden age of Igbo Highlife music. This was the era when Nigerian independence was on the horizon and there was an explosion of cultural pride across the country. Chief Stephen Osita Osadebe, born in 1936 in Atani, Anambra State, became one of the most beloved voices in Igbo music history. His style was smooth, melodic, and deeply rooted in Igbo proverbs and storytelling. Songs like Osandi Oendi, which means what makes one person happy may make another cry, became anthems. Oliver de Coque, whose real name was Oliver Sunday Aconite, was known as the Lion of the Guitar. He developed a style called Ogene Highlife, blending the traditional Ogene bell sound with the electric guitar. His music was joyful, energetic, and deeply celebratory of Igbo identity. These artists didn't just make music, they documented Igbo life, its joys, its sorrows, its wisdom, and its pride. By the 1960s and 70s, Igbo Highlife had spread far beyond Nigeria. The Igbo diaspora, especially those who had migrated to Ghana, the UK, and the United States, carried this music with them. Record labels began to emerge in cities like Onitsha and Lagos, pressing vinyl records that circulated across West Africa and beyond. Radio stations, including Radio Nigeria, played Highlife regularly, turning these artists into household names. The Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafra War, lasted from 1967 to 1970. Many Igbo musicians were caught in the conflict, some fled, some lost everything. Yet music survived. In fact, for many Igbo people, music became even more important during and after the war, a way to grieve, to heal, and to rebuild identity. Today, Igbo Highlife lives on in multiple forms. Traditional Highlife still has a strong following, particularly during traditional weddings, chieftaincy ceremonies, and festivals. A new generation of artists has also emerged, blending Igbo Highlife with contemporary sounds like Afrobeats, R&B, and even hip-hop. Artists like Flavor Nabania have introduced Igbo musical elements to a global audience. The influence of Igbo Highlife can also be heard in mainstream Afrobeats in the guitar lines, the rhythmic patterns, and even the storytelling approach. From the organ drums of ancient Igbo villages, to the brass bands of colonial Nigeria, to the golden voices of Osadebe and Coque, to flavor performing on international stages, today Igbo Highlife is one of Africa's greatest cultural gifts to the world. And now you know where it all began. Subscribe to Igbo Vibe TV because we're just getting started. Odumama. See you in the next one.